Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 17 of Wanderlust and Wishes. Again, I may be having some audio issues, so my apologies if this does not sound great. I'm having some technical difficulties. We are going to continue our discussion of Walt Disney World Resort categories, and today we're going to focus on moderate resorts. However, first, we want to talk through Krystle's upcoming Disneyland trip and what she has planned.
Well, I'm my own worst travel agent and have the least stuff planned. Guys, we do so much for our clients that our own trips just get put on the back burner. John's been planning this, but that's okay. So yes, we're going to Disneyland. If you've been here all, you know how much I love that. I'm so excited to get back. So let's see, Sunday, the 22nd. We have a very early flight from Columbus, and we're actually flying into Long Beach. We're going to give it a try. We didn't want to deal with LAX, and it was too expensive to fly into SNA. So we get into California at like 9 a.m. with the time change, which is fabulous.
Oh my gosh, so early.
So I doubt our room is going to be ready. We're sitting at the Howard Johnson right there across the street. It's a great option for families, and I'm excited to give it a try. Unlike Disney World, Disneyland is very easy to stay at a non-Disney hotel.
Yeah.
So it's like a less than a 10-minute walk. It's like less than a half a mile from the front gates. So we get in Sunday. Sometime along the way, John is going to find some In-N-Out because we love In-N-Out. Have you had In-N-Out?
I did. We did have it. I didn't love it, but I also think some of it is because of the burger and the bun, and I wasn't able to have, so I had to have the like lettuce wrap, but we did eat there. We ate there, I think, at least twice when we were there.
Yeah, anytime that we're somewhere, it's like our first stop when we get off the plane. So since our room probably will not be ready, they have a really nice little water park at the hotel. So we're going to have a separate bag for water stuff. I'm actually going to head to the parks and this is a work trip, people. And I'm going to
get content when we're at
yes. I'm just going to go in and take a bunch of pictures and videos and content while the kids are sleeping and hopefully napping. Hopefully we get into our room a good time. And then I'm sure we'll explore downtown Disney. Monday, we have reservations for Disneyland. We also have a morning breakfast at the Plaza Inn with Minnie. I'm so excited about that. That is the one surprise the kids don't know about yet. Tuesday is our off day, but we have Oogie Boogie tickets for Tuesday night. So that'll be exciting. Hopefully our costumes get here in time. They've been ordered. And then Wednesday, we're going to get up and go to California Adventure and do the day there. Thursday, back at Disneyland, and then fly home Friday. We did not have park hoppers this trip, which I was really bummed about, but price-wise, it was Oogie Boogie or price hoppers. So I opted for Oogie Boogie.
Yeah. I think it's going to be kind of weird that, not just like walking back and forth across the two, from the two parks. So
yes. So I have mixed feelings because you can't explore as much, but at the same time, it also forces you to stay put and do things like at Disneyland that we probably wouldn't normally do because we just be like, oh, we've done the big things here. Let's head over to California Adventure and try for some big things there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. It'll be a good time. So make sure you're following along on Instagram, on our podcast page, and I'll probably be sharing stuff on my personal page too, which is the proper way to go. And then, yeah, I'll probably do some on the go stuff. We've been toying with like bonus show on the go episodes.
Yeah. I'm hoping to do something similar whenever I'm in Walt Disney World in October. I'll be in Walt Disney World in mid-October. I'm excited about that because my countdown is kind of officially started as well because we're under 30 days. So that's exciting. I'm a little nervous to use the new system, Lightning Lane system, because I'll be using it for the first time. I've had clients use it, but not myself. So we'll see how this goes.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
Okay. So let's get into the content. Last week, we talked about value resorts and went through an overview of what value resorts offer. So today we're going to jump into moderate resorts. And I'm sure you can all probably guess that moderate is in the middle. So it's in the middle price wise, and it's a step up from value, and it gives you a little bit more amenities. The room sizes are larger. The location's a little bit better. They're a little bit closer to the parks, that kind of thing. So, do you want to jump into what type of accommodations and amenities they typically have?
Yes. So this is the smallest category of the three, but their standard rooms are about 314 square feet. So it's a little bit bigger than the values. The bedding is a little bit more. I don't know how they do it, but it seems nicer than the value. And then the deluxe seems even better. So
Deluxe is like they have their own mattress line for the deluxe resort. So
yeah. So it's just like the more you pay, the better things get. So we do have more dining options than the value resorts. You start to get like your sit down restaurants. You have theme pools with slides, recreational activities. Should we do some sample pricing really quick?
Sure. Of course.
Okay. So these are just like the basic standard room prices. All of these, once you start getting into preferred, and if there are suite options, like it just keeps climbing.
Mm-hmm.
But for the basic,
they also have club level. They start to have club level with a couple of these resorts, which is not an option with value at all.
yes. So these are just to kind of give you an idea to rank them amongst each other.
Mm-hmm.
Disney's Coronado Springs Resort, this is for a week in May, is averaging $286 a night. Caribbean Beach Resort is averaging $305. Port Orleans Riverside, $336. And Port Orleans French Quarter, $346 a night.
Okay.
So that's just to kind of give you an idea. Oftentimes, Coronado Springs price is better than the suites at Art of Animation, if anybody cared.
Yeah. It's just, you're not going to be able to sleep 6 people in the standard room at Coronado Springs. However, you're going to get more amenities. So I think it depends on what you need. But if you're just looking at amenities, looking at whether you're staying at kind of a little bit nicer place, then Coronado Springs is definitely going to be the thing. I think the other thing that I would look at when we start talking about these resorts and we start getting into the details, 2 of the resorts are massive, like massive. So you also have to think about that when you're trying to figure out where you want to stay, because they're so big that you might want to stay in a particular room because it's close to one thing, one amenity, but it's not close to another amenity, or it might be, closer to a particular pool or something, but you have to walk for 15 minutes to get to get to a
Skyliner.
Yes. So you have to think about that too with Caribbean Beach and Coronado Springs. They are really large and spread out.
They're so big, they have internal bus loops just for them.
They do. Yeah. The other thing that we would want to talk through is if you are the last stop on the bus route that goes through the resort, you may not be able to get on the bus because it might be full. So you may have to think through a strategy of walking to a bus stop that's not necessarily right next to where you're staying. It's in another section or a little bit farther over to make sure that you are able to get on a bus. So I think those are things to think through when we're talking through these resorts. So as Krystle was mentioning, the dining options, you're going to have a mix of quick service and table service. So that's different from Value, is you're going to have the ability to sit down at a table service. Some of the locations have multiple table service options. And then there's also definitely a nice bar and a nice counter service type area that's close to the pool that you can go to in these resorts. Recreation wise, they have obviously the pools, as Krystle mentioned, and they all have slides. They all have playgrounds. They have jogging trails, which I think the Value resorts also have jogging trails. Some of them have arcades and game rooms. They have bike rentals, which is nice. And then, as we talked about, this is pretty standard. They have the movies under the stars where you have the outdoor movie screenings, which is super cool. Transportation wise, the transportation is going to range from the Skyliner for one of the resorts, buses for the other two resorts, and one of the or I guess two of them of the resorts have boat transportation, but that's only to Disney Springs. Okay. The resorts that we're going to be talking about. So we have Port Orleans. That is technically one considered under one umbrella, but it has two different sections that have a little bit of different theming. Riverside is very kind of Southern charm. It has like kind of plantation houses type buildings in a section. And then it has the river what is it called? The Sasagula River that runs right next to it. It's really pretty. We've stayed there before. French Quarter is more like French Quarter. It's got that vibe of New Orleans that you think of. And then Caribbean Beach is obviously, it's all about the different areas of the Caribbean. Each of the sections of the buildings are named after a particular area of the Caribbean. And then Coronado Springs, they have sections as well where they have these little buildings. And then they also have the Grand Destino Tower. And then they also have a convention center. So that's also a whole different vibe because of the convention center over there.
Okay, so just as a reminder, staying on property in the bubble, you get early entry, you get Disney free transportation, which is free parking also free parking at the resort and at the parks if you drive. Early lightning lane reservations at 7 days out as opposed to 3 days out. So there's a lot of benefits to staying on site right now.
Okay, so let's jump into Port Orleans Resort. As I mentioned, it's kind of like a sister resort situation. They both are under the category of Port Orleans, but there's a Riverside section and a French Quarter section. So for dining, Riverside has the food court. It's called Riverside Mill Food Court. And similarly to, as we talked in with the Values, it's just a quick service area where you can go in and they have these different areas where you can pick out whatever food you want, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have Boat Rights Dining Hall. That is a sit-down restaurant, and it's very Southern style food. They have the River Roost Bar, and then they also have Muddy Rivers, which is the poolside bar next to their pool. From a transportation standpoint, they have the water taxi that goes to Disney Springs. That's on the Sasagula River. It's really fun, and it is very scenic, and it's very calming and relaxing to do this. Just remember that depending on the weather, they may or may not run the water taxis. If it's storming, they're not going to do that. So if you take the water taxi to Disney Springs and it starts storming, you may not be able to take it back. You may have to take a bus back. Then, of course, they have bus transportation that is at all along the resort. They share a bus from across both of them. So just keep that in mind as well. From the pool perspective, they have Old Man Island. That's the main pool at Riverside. And it has a water slide and a hot tub and children's section of the pool. They also have 5 leisure pools that are scattered throughout the resort. So depending on where you're staying in what building, you may have a leisure pool that's right there next to you. For accommodations, this has a standard room that has the 2 queens, which is really nice. They also have the royal guest room. And that is themed around, its main theming is Princess Tiana, but it has all types of different princesses and different touches in there that have the different princesses. We've stayed in that room before, and it definitely has nods to Ariel and Jasmine for sure. I'm trying to think of the others. Definitely Tiana, of course. But they're like really over the top, kind of close to gaudy.
They seem very regal.
Princess princess theming. So I mean, if you have a child that's really into princesses, these rooms they're spot on. They're very, very nice from that regard. So okay. You want to jump into French Quarter?
All right. So French Quarter, like Julie said, these are sister resorts, and there's a lot of places that you can let me back up. You can visit every single resort if you're not staying there. And you can use all the amenities such as the dining, but you cannot pool hop.
Right.
Except at Port Orleans, you can pool hop between Riverside and French Quarter. So that was a very cool feature. So let's talk, I guess, dining first. You have the Sassagoula Floatworks and Food Factory. This is their food court with New Orleans inspired cuisine. You have the Scats Cats Club. This is a lively lounge with live jazz music and like your classic New Orleans cocktails. This is where you can find those famous beignets at Walt Disney World. And then you have Mardi Gras, a poolside bar with a festive atmosphere. You have the Doubloon Lagoon pool, a Mardi Gras themed pool with a sea serpent water slide. If you see any pictures of this resort, this water slide is always featured.
Yeah, because it's pretty cool. It's very colorful.
And then you have your standard rooms that are decorated with like your vibrant Mardi Gras inspired details.
And I forgot to mention, they do have a fifth sleeper at Riverside that I didn't mention that before. So if you need that extra space, they do have that as an option. And I believe both resorts have like a standard view, which could be like of the parking lot. There's a river view. So when you come out, you have a view of easy view of the river. And then there's also a woods view. But both of these are buildings with the doors that lead to the outside. So it's not an enclosed space in any of these buildings, just as an FYI. That's the way that it's set up.
Of the moderates, I think the only ones that have the inside corridors would be at the Grand Destino Tower at Coronado.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And then she did mention the fifth sleepers. The moderate fifth sleepers are designed for a child. They are not like built for like a 6 foot, 200-pound person. But the fifth sleepers at Deluxe are like an actual twin bed. So if you're on the fence, keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing I also realized that I did not mention, this is something that's super popular at the resort. Yeehaw Bob is very well known. He's like does a piano show, and that is at the River Roost Lounge that I mentioned at Riverside. People go there just to see him because he's so fun and very lively. And they paused having him as part of the COVID restrictions, and everyone was like so excited when they finally brought him back. So that's something fun. Another interesting thing about these resorts is that they offer dog-friendly rooms. And that's definitely not something that's standard at all.
No, there's only a couple of places in the bubble that even offer that.
Yeah. And I think, like I was saying, the two other resorts are humongous. They are very large and spread out. These two resorts are much more intimate feel. And you almost feel like you're nowhere near anything. I don't know how else to explain it. Like when you're at these resorts, they definitely are very intimate, have an intimate feel, very cozy. And you don't feel like you're in the middle of this gigantic Disney World.
Not at
It,
all. You can actually take a horse-drawn carriage through like the Spanish moss, which
yeah,
is very dreamy. I've seen lots of pictures of proposals actually
yeah.
at
This
this resort because of that.
this resort is Riverside. Honestly, if it weren't for the bus, this is one of my favorite resorts. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. It's one of my faves for sure.
All right, let's jump over to Coronado Springs. Just to give you some context why we're talking. This resort is set up like kind of like an oval clock. The Ranchos, which is a section, is it like at 12 o'clock? The Cabanas, which is another section, is at like 2, 3 o'clock. Your Grand Destino Tower is at 4 to 5. Convention Center is at 6. And the Casitas are at 7, 8. And then there are like these 3 bridges that kind of connect in the middle for some restaurants. And then the dig site pool is also kind of in the middle-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of our huge resorts. It's spread out. So you kind of have to decide what is most important, because if you're close to the pool, you might not be close to like eating, like your morning coffee spot.
It's crazy. And this also has a ton of dining options because of the tower and the convention center. That it has additional places where you can get something to eat. You may just have to walk a ways to get there, depending on where you stay.
Well, do you want to talk to us about all the dining?
Sure. So this, as I was mentioning, we have the tower, and it has one of the newer. It's fairly new. The tower's fairly new, and this restaurant Toledo is super popular. It's tapas, steak, and seafood, and it is a rooftop restaurant of the at the top of the tower. People love this place. 3 Bridges, which is basically where the 3 bridges come together, like Krystle just mentioned. This is also a really popular place. People love this place, but it's 3 Bridges Bar and Grill, and it's right in the middle of where the bridges meet, and it's in the middle of the lake. So it has a nice view, and it's a sit-down restaurant, but it's not like fancy. You know, Toledo's is kind of fancy, sit down. This is not super fancy, but it is a sit-down restaurant. Rick's Sports Bar and Grill. This is at the convention center, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a sports bar. You can get classic bar food there with beer, and I'm sure they have other things drink wise, but that's really, people go there for bar food.
Every year we get asked in our like agent group, I'm looking for some place to go for Super Bowl or like March Madness. Like we have a husband with us that needs to watch a game. There aren't many places like this on property. So keep this in your back pocket when you have someone who needs to watch a big game. Send them to Rick's.
Yeah. They have 31 televisions, just FYI. Like, this is a sports bar. That's why people go here. Dahlia Lounge. This is kind of, it's kind of a fancy schmancy lounge that has Spanish surrealism inspired decor, and it is located inside the tower. You also have Barcelona Lounge, which is another fancy place to go in the tower. This is where you can get your espresso drinks, pastries, and just kind of light breakfast fare for the most part. So this would be where I would be going every day if I were at the Coronado Springs, because I would be wanting my coffee. I have to like scope out where to get the coffee everywhere. So that would be where I would be. Siesta's Cantina. This is a poolside bar, or poolside, not necessarily a bar. It's poolside food, like a counter service. It does have cocktails, but it also has, nachos and sandwiches and burgers and things like that you can get next to the pool. Maya Grill. This is at the convention center. It is traditional Mexican fare. So if you're looking for, Mexican, this would be a perfect spot for you. Cafe Rick's. This has smoothies, coffees, pastries, yogurts, fruit salads, and gelato. It is also located at the convention center. The El Mercado de Coronado. That is just your kind of grab and go type things. It does have breakfast, lunch, and dinner options. That's at the convention center. So if you happen to be there at a convention, this is kind of your spot where you like if you need to grab something really quickly. And then the last but certainly not least, you have the Laguna Bar, and it is lakeside tequila and mezcal bar with unique cocktails.
All right, let's talk about accommodations. So, like I mentioned, you have the cabanas, the casitas, and the ranchos. I guess they would be kind of like neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They feature Spanish colonial and Mexican design elements, and these rooms come with either one king bed or two queen beds. And the nice thing about the moderates is you get a true queen bed. Some of the values
Get more like a couple.
more like like a double, like especially the pull downs, the Murphy beds.
Mm-hmm.
But these are true queens. So if you need the space. And then you have the Grand Destino Tower. This offers a range of like modern and luxurious accommodations with the blend of like a Spanish, Mexican, Southwest American influences. And we start getting into our lots more room types. You have your standard rooms with views of the courtyard, water, parking area. We have water view rooms similar to standard, but you can like see like the pool and the lake. Preferred rooms located near El Centro, the dining, shopping, transportation. Like we talked about last week, your preferred rooms, they are a little bit more in price, but they get you closer to like the main hub.
Yeah. El Centro is basically like the main lobby area with some of the dining and transportation and stuff. So that's what that is for Coronado. And before they had the tower, I think these more are preferred rooms that are of the area that's not the tower, if that makes sense. These are not the rooms that are in the tower.
And then we have suites. So we have like a one bedroom. This will include a king bed and a queen size sleeper sofa with views of the Gardner Lake. The Casitas one bedroom suite feature two queen beds and a queen size sleeper sofa, accommodating up to 6 adults, which is rare.
Mm-hmm.
The Casitas executive suite includes one king bed, two queen beds, and a queen size sleeper sofa, accommodating up to 8 adults.
The tower has the one bedroom suites aside from the casitas that have the one bedroom suite as well. This is also where we bring in club level. They do have club level at this resort, which is different than what honestly any of the other moderate or any of the value resorts have at this point.
Yes, maybe we need to do a whole episode on what club level is and what it entails. But basically, you get to enjoy personalized vacation planning services, entry to the Kronos Club, and which is like an exclusive lounge offering light refreshments and a relaxing space. Basically, like a grab and go breakfast. There's snacks for lunch and dinner. There's beer. There's soda, water bottles that you can just take with you. So it's kind of special. And like Julie said, this is the only place that is not deluxe that offers it.
Yeah. And really, the tower has definitely a deluxe feel to it. That is one of the things I think people like about staying at Coronado is that if they can get one of the tower rooms, it has that deluxe feel without necessarily having the deluxe price point yet.
So all your rooms will have like your beverage cooler, your coffee maker, your Wi-Fi, your TV, in-room safe. I think now most of them have the Hey Disney Alexa in them.
Yeah, I think most of them have had that added for sure.
These rooms are elegantly designed with subtle Disney theming and modern decor, providing a comfortable and immersive experience. It's not like it's very well done, modern. There's not a lot of like in your face Disney at this resort.
No, they're not. And my sister stayed at, I don't remember if she was in a cabana or a rancho. I can't remember, but she stayed at this resort several years ago when we were there. when we had a trip together, and they had just refurbed all of those rooms. They were really nice.
So let's move into the recreation side of things. There's the dig site, which is the home to the Lost City of Cibola pool with a water slide, large hot tub, and a kiddie pool. There are 3 leisure pools located in the different neighborhoods for a more relaxed swimming experience. The leisure pools usually do not have a slide, FYI.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
You have your fitness center, fully equipped for all your workout needs, jogging trails, playground, movies under the stars. And then Coronado is kind of unique because they have a lot of like classes. They have Sangria University. You can go learn about sangria, and I think there's a tasting involved.
Yeah.
There's the Colors of Coronado painting experience. And then there's also the Spanish mosaic art class, which all sound very fun. And if you're there for a week and need something to do outside the parks, like there's plenty to do at Coronado.
As we mentioned earlier, the transportation is bus only here. And this is one of those resorts that you definitely need to think about that when you, depending on where you stay or where you get placed and the type of room that you reserve, because they have internal buses, as Krystle mentioned, to get around the different areas because it's so large. And then if you happen to be in the section that is the last drop off for the buses, that is, I believe that's the cabanas section, then you may end up, you're going to be on the bus longer because it's the last drop off. And then you also may be in a situation where you don't have a spot on the bus because it's full. So you might have to consider, if you're trying to get to a particular park and you're trying to get there early and you want to make sure you get a bus, you may have to walk over to a different area to make sure that you're able to get on the bus. And then you get to ride the bus all the way back around to where you were. But at least you have a spot on the bus.
All right, let's move over to Caribbean Beach Resort. This resort is it considered Epcot resort area?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it is set up along a little lake. You can't quite do a clock here. I'm trying to like figure out how to like best describe. So it splits the lake on like the west or the left side of the lake. You have like right underneath the Skyliner, you have the Aruba neighborhood, and then the Jamaica neighborhood is south of that. You have the Riviera at the top, which is a deluxe resort. And then if we're moving clockwise, between the Riviera, you have Martinique, like the top right. And then Port Royal, which is like your main hub with the lobby, the feature pool, your shops, your quick service. And then you have, still going down the lake, you have Barbados. And then there's a road that cuts through there. And then on the south side of the road is Trinidad.
It's so huge.
It is so spread out. And I was trying to think where we stayed. We stayed in the south side of Barbados.
Spot. I mean, that's a pretty good spot.
Yes. And it only took us a couple minutes to get to Skyliner. So depending on what days you're going to the park, where you're going, how many days you're spending in each park, let us help you find and request a room in a neighborhood. Because if you are staying in Aruba, but you're spending all your time in Hollywood Studios, you're going to be getting on the Skyliner station at the Riviera, and then you're going to have to transfer at the hub. So it'd be better to stay in Jamaica or Barbados and do the Skyliner there so you don't have to transfer. So there's like a lot of like logistical things that can play into this. We stayed here in the spring for our spring break trip, and it was great, but we never used the internal bus. We made a minivan to Magic Kingdom because we wanted to deal with it, and then we just Skyline to Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, it has like, I don't even know how many bus stops it has. It's crazy. You feel like you're on the bus forever. That's the way I felt whenever I took the bus here. I've never stayed here. I had a friend that stayed here, and I rode the bus back with her, and I was like, are we ever getting back to like where are we?
We really loved it. It's like a very chill vibe, like the Caribbean. But yeah, that's like the major downfall, I
Yeah,
guess.
so big. And I think the other thing you have to take into consideration when we start talking about the rooms, there are some rooms that were the like super ugly, dated pirate rooms that looked like more like dungeons. They were so awful. I don't know why they kept them for so long. They redid those rooms into this very light, bright Little Mermaid thing.
Green. Yeah.
And those are in the Trinidad section only. And so that's another thing. Like if you're looking for that theming and they're fifth sleeper rooms, there's multiple types of fifth sleeper rooms. You have fifth sleeper in the regular sections, and then you have this particular theming. So that's another thing just to talk through with this particular.
If you're at the south side of Trinidad, you're a good 10, if you're a fast walker, 10-minute walk to the Port Royale. So I just imagine like being in a wet swimsuit trying to walk back to my room.
Yeah, it's a ways for sure. And it does have its own quiet pool. It just doesn't, it's not the main pool where like all the action's happening and the pool bar and the restaurants and all of that stuff. That's just not happening there. So
let's talk about dining. We have Sebastian's Bistro. Enjoy Caribbean-inspired family-style dishes like citrus chicken, mojo pork, and flank steak. This is right near the pool, the main pool. You have Centertown Market, which is your quick service meals in a vibrant market-style setting. This is their version of the cafeteria type quick service.
Yeah.
Then you have the Centertown Market Grab and Go. This is like conventional snacks, bakery items, beverages. They have like they're open late. So like when the Centertown Market is closed, this is where you're gonna get any food.
Mm-hmm.
Banana Cabana is your poolside bar offering tropical drinks and light bites. And then you have the Spyglass Grill, which is poolside food counter, casual dining with American fare and Caribbean twists for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this Spyglass Grill is actually near the Trinidad section. Like they have like their own little
area.
Yes. And then each village houses a couple of Coke freestyle machines.
That's really neat.
Yes, we made very good use of our resort mug when we stayed here because the Coke freestyle machine was in our building. So it was like literally like 3 doors down. So it was very quick in with the ice machine. Go fill up on my Diet Coke about 8 times every day.
So for accommodations, we kind of talked a little bit about this already, but they have standard rooms that have 2 queen beds or 1 king, and they're just a view of the resort or potentially a pool. You have preferred rooms that are closer to the main amenities and dining areas, which, as we talked about, because that means because these rooms were named before the Skyliner was put into place. So that a preferred room here means you're close to dining and the shopping and that center section, not necessarily that you're close to the Skyliner. So like Krystle said, if we're looking for something that's a balance of both, we just need to talk through the best spot for you to try to get in those areas to request an area. They also have fifth sleeper rooms. So they have like a standard fifth sleeper or a standard preferred. I'm sorry, a fifth sleeper preferred. Like they have that. They have multiple different options when it comes to that kind of thing. If you need that fifth sleeper. And then, like I mentioned, they do have the rooms that were rethemed to Little Mermaid. But those are just in the Trinidad area. And
they're so pretty.
They're very pretty. They're they have that, it's just a very light, like a seafoam green, I guess and like blues. And yeah, they're very, very pretty. From a recreation standpoint, they have the Fuentes de Moro pool that has a Spanish fortress themed pool with that. That's where the waterfall, The water slide comes out of that building, or looks like a Spanish fortress. The slide comes out of that. They have the zero entry pool. They also have waterfalls and they have water cannons. So it's a really fun pool for sure. Then they have 6 leisure pools because there's so many different areas. They have leisure pools basically in all of those different areas. They do have a playground. They have, this is unique, with the exception of maybe like one or two other resorts that are deluxe. They have a beach area it's next to the water, and they have hammocks and volleyball courts. It's a very nice little spot. And that's,
Swimming is not allowed.
yeah, please
Do not swim. You might get eaten by a gator.
Yeah. But I mean, of course they have it's not a fence. It's like it is a fence, but it's basically like netting because, to go with the theming, but they have it blocked off. Like you can't just go into the water. So you'd have to make major effort to get into the water, and please do not do that.
I do think that this is at the lighthouse there. Isn't there boats to rent to fish? Yeah. Caribbean Beach, Contemporary, Grand Flow, Old Key West, Port Orleans, Riverside, Wilderness, and Yacht Club.
Okay. So apparently they also have the ability to rent a little boat and go out on the water.
They are guided though. You don't get to drive the boat yourself.
Probably a good thing. I'm sure they probably learned that very quickly, that to not allow that to happen. I'm sure that's why we can't have nice things, because other people can't follow instructions. Overall, the whole like Caribbean vibe, they nailed it with this resort. They do a great job with that. And just real quickly, the transportation, we did mention in passing that this is on the Skyliner, or this really, to me, it bumps this resort up a level because of the Skyliner. It has its own Skyliner station. The funny thing is, depending on where you stay, if you are in the Aruba section, depending on where you are in Aruba, you may be closer to the Riviera Skyliner station because the resort's so spread out. But it's a great benefit for sure. And then obviously to the other 2 parks, Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, and then Disney Springs, you have bus transportation.
I love this resort. The 5th sleeper is huge for our family.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the Skyliner, it's such a great price point. So this is always on our list.
Okay. So do we want to rank the resorts?
Oh, yes. Let's dive in. Shoot, this is going to be hard. I think I got to put Caribbean Beach as my number 1. Since all 3 of the others are bus to the parks, I'm going to probably say Coronado, because there's just so much to do and eat there. Like their food is like off the charts. And then I'm going to have to put Port Orleans, but I don't feel like there's a bad moderate resort. Like I almost hate ranking them.
Yeah. They really are all fantastic places. I think if I'm just looking at the resort and the vibe and not thinking about transportation, definitely Port Orleans would be my top pick.
I see that. I have not stayed there yet. It's on my list, but I want to do it without a stroller.
Yeah, I feel you there. And I have this picture, I have to send it to you, of the view from our room when we stayed there. And it was of the fountain. There's a fountain like right next to where our building was, and the water's behind it. And then you have like the gigantic trees with the moss, and it was just so pretty. It was so pretty. So I loved it. But I think from a convenience factor, I would probably pick Caribbean Beach because of the Skyliner.
It's so hard to beat it.
Yeah. If I'm picking solely on food, I'm going to go with Coronado Springs.
This is why no one resort fits any one person.
I think staying in the tower and basically just eating all the things and going to all the lounges and bars, that would be so fun.
This would be a great couples place to stay. John, we need to go on a Couples only trip and stay at Coronado.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think those would be my choices.
All right. Does this help you all with your planning? I hope so. If you have any questions or need further details, just reach out. We'd love to answer any questions you might have. Like we just said, there's no one resort that is like is a fit all for everybody.
Yeah.
So depending on your needs, your family makeup, what parks you're going to, all play into helping you pick the right resort. We love matching you with the perfect one.
That is honestly one of my favorite parts of just planning the trip is picking the resort and figuring out what the right room is and what the best place is for the family. And then once you pick, I just get super excited. I get more excited than the person, the family sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to love this place. And they're just like, okay, great. Thanks. I'm glad you're excited. So next episode, we're going to transition into deluxe resorts. There are a lot of deluxe resort options. And so we're probably going to break it into park areas. So a resort that's the closest to the particular park, we're going to break it into those different areas and go through them just so that the episode is not 4 hours long because there's a lot to cover with deluxe resorts specifically. As we talked about, they're kind of a level up and they have additional amenities and all of those things. So we look forward to continuing our series, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.